This short presentation will walk you through our lesson on the healing power of mindfulness. So mindfulness is a simple concept. It has been tied to a decrease in stress, an improvement in mood, better sleep, and more. And it can be healing. So in this lesson, we're going to talk about the different ways to cultivate mindfulness, where it occurs in your brain, and some of the effects of different types of mindful meditation. Let's start with what is mindfulness. It's the ability to be fully aware, fully present. You are curious. You are not particularly reactive or overwhelmed. It can be done in many different ways. It could be done sitting or standing or laying down or moving. You can incorporate it into your everyday life with short pauses, or you can merge it with other routines such as yoga. Some facts about mindfulness. No special skills. You just have to be aware and be in the moment without judgment, with curiosity, warmth, and kindness. It's evidence-based. Back in 1979, a program was developed out of University of Massachusetts Medical School called Mindfulness-Based Stress Reduction. At the time, there was a little bit of controversy about it because it is something that isn't necessarily scientific. However, it was very successful. Much research was generated from the work out of University of Massachusetts, and mindfulness all of a sudden became a very important topic. Mindfulness is often combined with meditation, and that was true in the mindfulness-based stress reduction program. So sometimes you will hear about meditation or mindfulness. They are very similar. Meditation might be a little more formal. Mindfulness can just be as simple as being aware in the moment. There are different ways that you can practice mindfulness in your everyday life. Our lesson this week offers some examples. One of the ways that you can practice mindfulness is with art. And you can start by very simply finding one of those beautiful color wheels or things that you can color. Those are very therapeutic. Or you can do a mindful type of art called contemplative art. And this type of art allows us to create something, and that can inspire and heal. So there's two categories of that. There's process emphasis, where the process is more important than the product. Just by doing it, you're benefiting yourself. Or there's product emphasis. So in the particular type of object is going to be related to contemplation. So an example for that is something like a prayer shawl or a rosary bead. But the intention is the same. You want to engage your creative process with contemplation. There's a video that tells you how to create a prayer shawl. Another way that is suggested in our reading is mindful movement, and we can just go out and walk in a mindful way, or you can take part in an activity such as Qigong or Tai Chi. And in that case, you are completely concentrating on what you're doing. It's usually very restful and very positive. And there's a video that you can follow for an easy 20-minute routine. The third option is mindfully eating. It's not just the eating, but it's everything associated with eating. So it's getting your food ready, maybe even purchasing the food and thinking about the food and thinking about the source of the food. Being aware before you begin eating about how hungry you are and allow that sensation to come into play. And then eating mindfully, focusing on each bite, maybe putting your fork down every so often and relax. And the fourth one that's discussed here is one you wouldn't expect to see here, and that is mindful driving. So there's probably very few times where we can be completely upset with a complete stranger than when we are in a car with them. So everything with mindfulness does begin with a deep breath. So begin your driving session with a deep breath. Find your tensions in your body and soften them, and then just kind of enjoy the experience of driving instead of focusing on what others are doing. And this is a short 3-minute video on our course website that you see to learn more about mindful driving. Now, there is evidence that mindfulness does make changes in your brain. Different research studies were discussed in this reading. One of them has to do with a hypothesis on why there is different brain activation after meditation. And that is because meditation training boosts your body awareness in the moment, and that term is called interoception. And so when people could focus on the present, they could break that pattern of self-rumination, because as we learn farther down in the reading, there are two conflicting networks in our brain. One is called the default mode network, and one is called the task positive network. The default mode network is the one that comes into play when you're really upset or anxious, and it's the one that Bila is involved. And then there's the task positive network. These two systems can only operate one at a time. So if you are in the default mode network and you're angry and you're anxious and you're getting ready to run off, well, you wouldn't be able to concentrate very well on a task. If you are feeling that and you try to come up with a task that you can do, you might find that you are able to escape the rumination. This is very valuable to keep in mind that next time you're feeling that stress and that anxiety. Okay, there are areas in the brain that are affected with mindfulness and meditation. Some of the regions include the hippocampus, where your learning and memories and emotions are regulated. The temporal parietal junction, and that is empathy and compassion. And then also decreased brain volume in the amygdala, which we just talked about, the area that triggers the fight or flight. So the smaller your amygdala, less stressed people feel. So anything that allows you to decrease your anxiety is going to benefit your brain. We did happiness not too long ago. Will mindfulness make you happier? Well, they did find that mindfulness does benefit you in certain ways that will make you happy. One of the ways is with a sustained positive emotion. So people with higher activity in the regions associated with positive emotions had a higher level of psychological well-being. Mindfulness keeps you in that state. Mindfulness allows you to recover from negative emotions. So experienced meditators are able to sustain or to have better resilience to pain. They may have the same intensity, feel the same intensity as people that are not mindful, but they won't necessarily associate it with unpleasantness. So again, it's mindfulness and interpretation. Mindfulness encourages pro-social behavior and generosity. And even if you practice mindfulness, you might find that you can become more compassionate. And then mindfulness discourages mind wandering. Mind wandering is when you're thinking about something in the past or in the future. Mindfulness is the present. Now, in one of the studies, they were able to figure out when people's minds were wandering and when they were not. And they found that when they were mind wandering, they were more unhappy. So try mindfulness instead of letting your mind wander if you want to be happier. There's a lot of practical ways that on our site that can help you figure out how to become more mindful. It all starts with breathing. Everything comes down to breathing. Breathe before, breathe during, breathe after. Decide on what you're going to pay attention to. If your mind wanders, then just come back to that task. So determine what you really want to be mindful of. In that time when you're anxious or angry about something, try instead to be curious. I know that's hard, and I know I've been in that situation, but by letting your brain be curious about it and to consider what some of the options are, you might allow it to escape that rumination, that constant anxiety. And then just every so often just sort of take stock of where you are in space, and your hands on your table and your feet on the ground and your posture, and all these things help you to become more mindful. You can actually get a mindfulness app for your phone. These are useful in reminding you to relax. They're all very comforting. Some of them cost money. Some of them are free. The three that we talk about here are free for the basics, and then you have to pay more if you want it for the whole year. The Buddhify one, it's $4.99, but that's just a one-time charge. And so that was kind of worth it. And then if you want to take that further, you can join as a member. So you don't have to use a paid one. You can do the free ones, but just that sometimes will help us to become more mindful. Or you can go online and you can look for other mindfulness meditation sites, and these will just guide you through a mindfulness session. And the more you do these, the more you're able to just maybe be mindful on your own. Our website has lots of videos, and this one is particularly good. It's 20 minutes long, so you have to have a little bit of time, but it really does sort of bring things together. And I just got a few quotes from this one, such as, life is shaped by our mind, or every thought or emotion that we have transforms our brain, and we have the power to choose what we pay attention to. So all those things are important. We consider the control we have over our brain and the fact that we can be more mindful. So mindfulness is a gift. It's easy to do. You just have to practice it. It can change your brain. All semester long, we've been talking about the things that can change your brain by rewiring. And this is an example of one thing that can change your brain. Science is supporting this as a positive way to become more healthy in your brain and your body. So hopefully you learned enough from this lesson that you can go and begin to practice mindfulness on your own.